Hello everyone, myself Ashish Desai, Assistant Professor, Mechanical Department. Today we are going to discuss here unit number first, testing and evaluation. So in that content we are going to discuss the process safety management. So first of all we look at the learning objective for the session. So first learning objective is to understand the process safety management. Second learning objective is to know the elements of process safety. So after this session some learning outcome is there. So first learning outcome is the student will able to explain about the process safety management. Then second learning outcome is the student will able to aware about the PHA, that is process hazard analysis. So first of all we look at the process safety management. So it is set of assumptions, values, concept and practices that form a structure, and it is for supporting the management and integrity of hazardous operating systems and process by applying good design principles and operational practices. So this is called as the process safety management. So it is mainly consisting with principles and the supporting element, so which can support the processes for eliminating the hazardous conditions as well as risk of that content, and identifying the different risk assessment and learn from the experience. So that should be learned in a process safety management. So first of all we look at the that process safety management system. So it is a comprehensive management system and that proactive avoids the incidents of hazardous conditions in industries like chemical plants, then oil and gas installations, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, explosives, and that handles to store or process toxic or flexible chemicals. So this is regarding the process safety management. So we can avoid the that incidents at the time of that handling the systems. So number of reasons is there. So while handling the uh, different processes, so it may cause different chemical contacts or explosion takes place. So for that purpose we can train the people or train the that operator, and we can eliminate these things. Also we have different things available with us, so with the help of we can avoid the this type of uh, accidents accidences. So first of all we look at the that process safety. So actually as we know that the process safety is a process, a series of mechanical or chemical operations on a matter it order to change to preserve it. So here we are to change the performance with making the various treatments on the products, that is the processes, and which is focuses on the design, operations, control and optimizations of chemical, physical and biological processes, that is called as process engineering. And in a process safety, as we know that the focus is on application of safe engineering and design principles, safe operating practices, proper preventing controls, and safe optimizations of chemical, physical, biological, etc. that processes have a potential to cause a harm by uncontrollable releasing the hazardous materials or energy. So we have to create a focuses on these parameters, that is these hazardous conditions. So if you know these conditions, automatically we can handle the different things, or can say different controls over the operations. So this is the application for the process safety. So we know that example, a release of hazardous material is there, loss of contaminant is there, uncontrollable release of energy is there. So this time we have to take actions against them, and we have to take the safety features in that industries. Now we move for the process safety information, that is called as PSI. So already this the employer showed the documents regarding the recognized and generally accepted good engineering practices, that is RAGAGEP. RAGEP. So this is will help to the for designing the equipments or design the inspection testings and frequency of the inspections. So this will be helped to avoid the accidents. So there are different design codes is available with this system, that is RAGAGP, that contains ASME, CGA, API and CIR, etc. So as a reference, that the PHA, that is process hazard analysis. So that can be approached for identifying, evaluating and controlling the hazards or processes involving HSCC. HSCC means highly hazard chemicals. So we have to take the study, or can say identifying the that hazardous conditions. So therefore the employer must perform a PHA on all covered processes. PHA means process hazard analysis, and here we have to reduce the complexity of the process, and here we can identify, evaluate and the control over the any kind of process. So this is by the PHA, that is called as process hazard analysis. So this is knowledge is given from the that process safety informations. So this is the specialty of RAGA GEP, that is RAGA GEP. So this will help to conduct the different design codes. So this is a design code, that is ASME. So that is this as per the standards we can identify it, and according to that we can uh, precautions against the processes. So there is ASME. So if it is ASME code is there, so according to catalog of ASME, we can read out those functions, and according to that we can implement in industries. Suppose ANSI is there, that is American National Institutes, that is Standard Institutes. So as per the that design codes, we can conclude the that validations, and then we go for the performance. So this is also different type of analysis. Then CGA, API, that is CGA means compressed gas associations. So again, we can study over there of the catalog, and then we can implement over the process. Same as that of API also, that is American Petroleum Institutes. So in a petroleum industries, we can study of this API and then we implement it to the process. Similarly for ASTM, so American Society for Testing and Materials. So this also we can, this is design code. So as per this conditions and processes we are to study it, and then we can implement to the systems. Then IIAR, so International Institute of Ammonia Refrigerations. So in refrigeration industries we can follow this IAR, and then we have to go for the different maintenance purpose or maintenance applications. Then manufacturers. So these are the different manuals or different that catalog is there. So according to there we can study and we can implement over the processes while performance of maintenance, or can say while going to installations. So this is the important factors for the installation as well as in maintenance purpose. Now we know that the next information is the employer must compile with a written process, that is about hazardous of the highly hazard chemicals, which is used, technology of the process, equipment in the process. So these informations is known to the employers. Then and only it will help to conduct the accidents less uh, performance. So that is nothing but the process safety information. So this is the method. Here the hazardous of highly chemicals. So hazardous chemicals is there. So that should be consisting at least the following: toxicity is there, or it may be permissible exposure limits is there, physical data is available with this, reactivity data is there. So if it is in contact with air, so that should be happen any actions. Then corrective that corrosive data is there, thermal and chemical stability data is there, and that should be mixing of different materials. So these type of actions will be available for the chemical mixing, or can say chemical mixtures. So we can identify according to that, and then we can behave to this that hazardous conditions. So this is nothing but a chemical hazards. Then we are to identifying the methods over here for controlling the that hazardous processes. What if? So whenever you can go for application, or can say whenever you can apply this instrument, then why, what if? So what are the different impacts, or what are the different things regarding the that process or that equipment? We can identify it, then we make a checklist against them. If it is uh, newly installed or oldly installed, so according to that you can study over there. Then hazard and operative study is there. So that conditions, what type of hazardous is there, and operating ability is there in that equipment, we can study over there. Then failure mode and effect analysis, so what type of load we can that take under the different processes there. So that type of effect we can take consider over there. And because of this load, it should be fail this component. So this type of mode we can study over there, and then we can implement the process. Then fault tree analysis, so if it is any fault, we can identify before the applying the force or applying the that performance, we can study over there. So this is appropriate study we can take, and we can implement to the process. So this is the way for conduction of smooth conduction of processes. So this is the input and output. So here different resources there, like equipment, infrastructure, human resources, and according to that we can control the quality and safety. So here we can control the that quality and priorities depend, or safety depends on this type of condition, that is storage, handling, emissions, and utilities. So this is the important things. So how to store it, how to handle it, how to emit it or in a space, what type of waste is there after burning, or can say after releasing or after using of this process. So this type of knowledge we can take over here for conversion of input to output. So then and only the resources will be that well evaluated, or we can say well maintained. So this is regarding the process safety management, and it should be applicable in different industries like O&G, that is oil and gas, fertilizer, that pesticides, chemical industries, pharmaceutical industries, explosiveness, etc. So these processes you can use in industries. So for safety purpose, we're having 14 elements for the process safety, and that's why we can manage, bar, plan, do, check, and act. So this type of activity can follow for the process safety management, because before the use of equipment or infrastructure in a with the human resources, we can plan it, and after doing or after checking this that processes, then it should be act in a output mode. So this is the conditions we have to check over here. So with the power 40 elements, the safety will be takes place. So these 40 elements we can study one by one. So this is the 40 elements. So first is employee participation. So for process safety management, it is also important training. So training for refreshing uh, that employee, or can say that customer, or can say that operators, it is also required over there. And process hazard analysis, so how to hazard analysis there, what are type of hazardous is there. Then mechanical integrity, what about the mechanical things is available, this with this operating procedure is there, process safety information is there, hot work permit is there. So while welding or any hot process is there, so that time that we can take the permissions, or can say we can take the train from the different contractors. Then management of change is there, pre-startup reviews there, then contractors there, compliance report is there, then trade sector is there, then incident investigation is there, emergency planning and response is there. So these are the 14 process safety is there. So according to that we can uh, implement over there. The next, occupational health and safety. So for individual responsibility is there. So this is for occupational health services. Joint occupational health and safety committee is available with us. Then health and safety rules, which is done by central governments. Then correct work procedure is there. Employee orientation is there. Training we can do there. Then workplace inspections. So this is the important factor. Reporting and investing accidents is there. Emergency procedure is there. Medical and first aid is available with industries. Health and safety promotions is required over there. Then workplace that specific items is there. Hazardous management is there. Program evaluation and assessment inspection is there. So this type of activity we are doing in that process management. So this will help to conduct smooth run in industries. Now we know that the first element for the uh, process safety management is the employee participation. So employer may consult with employees and their receipt of development of elements. Then employee should have employee access to all informations by PSM standards. Then employer will uh, develop a written plan regarding the implementation of employee participations. So this is an important factor for awarenessing of process safety management. Then hot work permits. So here the operator must issue for hot work permissions on near covered processes, and this permit must be kept to on a fire until completion of the hot work. So this is also important. So the operator is always remember with fire prevention and protection requirements. So then and then only it can permit for hot work. So this type of care we can take over here. Next, operating procedure. So whenever we can operate the different machines, so there how to start up is there, normal operations is there, temporary operations is there, emergency shutdown is there. So emergency operation is there, normal shutdown is there, startup and following turnaround in there. So this type of procedures is always communicated to the employees. Then and then only the operations, or can say that performance of engine or operations of machines is possible over here. And it is, if it is uh, different hazardous conditions is available with that machines or that engine is there, so we can communicate it with employees, then and only that employee or operator it can operate on in a normal range. So this parameters is important here. So while starting the machines, the normal operations, what type of is there, temporary operations which is there, emergency shutdown how to do there, these type of study we have to required over here for the employee. Now next element is self work practice. So as per the experience, or I can say as per the requirement, we can implement, or I can say we can implement the various activities for controlling the hazardous. So lockout, the tag out, confined space entry, opening processes, equipment, or that control, then assist control over the entrance. So this type of in maintenance, contractor, laboratory, or other support personnel. So these are the safe work practice should be applied both to employees and the contractors. So this is the scenario for self work practice. So whenever you can implement it, or I can say when you apply to the employee in a particular operations for oil or gases industries. So before that we can take a train into the laboratories, and then we have to implement it in that laboratory. Then we can go where then we can send to the that particular field work. So this is the self work practice. Then training. So training, for initial training is different, refresher training is different. Initial training means whenever the job is available for the any trainee, then we can train first and then we can go to the implementation. Then refresher training, this is the training is available after 1 year or 2 years. So if it is have experienced people on that should be done in a 1 year. So this type of the trainer, it is required a refresher training. So this is the about training. So here the initial training we have to give to the overview of the process. safety and hazardous conditions. What are the types of hazardous is there? Emergency operations is there, or shutdown operation is there. Safe work practices applicable to employees' task is there. Then refresher training at least every 3 years. So these after 3 years or 1 years, this is required after training. So that type of documentations of training is available with the contractors is there. So then and only this will help to smooth conduction of operations. Then pre-startup safety review. So whenever the after giving that information to the operator regarding the highly hazardous chemicals, so it review for the pre-start the construction regarding the design specifications, then safety operating maintenance and emergency procedures are in places, then hazard analysis how can do it, and it should be how to start up, then training of each employee involved in operating processes, so it should be completed. So this type of review we can take with the operator, and for that purpose we can take a written test, and then only we can implement to the that operators, and then we have to conduct that smooth operations. Now mechanical integrity. So as we know that as per the mechanical concerns, the pressure vessels and storage tank is there, piping system is there, relief and vent system is there, emergency shutdown system is there, controls regarding the sensor, alarms, and locks is there, pumps is there. So in that complex structures we require the maintenance at every period or every times. So for that purpose we can take a preventive measures. Suppose we can consider in sugar industries. So first of all we can maintain it before the starting of the sugar industry, and if it is started the sugar industry, so after 6 months that process will be done, and then we can implement for the that maintenance purpose. So this should be process, and here the this conditions we can satisfy it before the launching any operations, then and then only implement the things. So this type of study we can do first. Then trade secrets. So nowadays the companies attempted to protect the proprietary informations by keeping the process details from their employees. So to prevent this scenario and enhance the worker safety, the trade secret element gives the right know process that may affect their health and safety. So while training and the training of these people, we have to give the information regarding the what type of effect or what type of health effect which is done, which will be done after the processes. So we have to inform there, and then we have to send to this employee for the further operations. So this is the scenario. We have to know all the processes regarding this that conditions or that process. So this is the trade secret we have to share with employee or contractors. So it is essential for smooth conduction of our operations. Now contractors. So contractors always they instructed to in known potential fire, explosion or toxic release hazardous related to their works, and always remember that the contractor should maintain a contract employee during injury and illness, a log related to the contractor work in process area. So this type of information which can share to the employee or operators. So this is an important factor, or this is a important factor for process safety management. The next, management of change. So this is the impact of the change on employee safety and health, modification to operating procedures, necessary time period of change, authorization requirement, the proposed change. So this type of change we can done with the management change. Then incident investigations. So whenever we have to observe the different things, we have to note it down, and then after that experience purpose we can give to the informations. So after that, that person or observer take the corrective actions regarding the same, or preventive action we can take. So this is nothing but a problem solving technique. So this we will share with operator as well as contractor. Always we can share this data with the senior of most faculties, or can senior most persons. So this is also important, emergency planning and response. So identification of possible situations, then training of people regarding the emergency, when, where it is happen. So this type of plan we can do in a way. So most of the things in that more emergency in uh, the mining industry is there. So that type of industries is facing the emergency. So that time we can do emergency planning, and according to that we can respond to the that people, or training peoples. So this type of data we can share to the that training people or that employee. Then compliance report. So after completion of training, the auditors, or can say that the supervisor, we can commit the report, and this type of report we can prepare for uh, whenever the performance of these processes. Suppose oil industry is there, or I can say any pharmaceutical industry is there, or chemical industry is there. So then we have to compile the report day to day. So this will be attention for uh, making a process effective. So this will help to process management. Then operating procedures. So these procedures we can take under cover for the initial setup, normal, temporary, emergency operations, shutdowns, safety, health considerations regarding the chemical, unique hazards, material control, then administrative controls, PPE, then safety systems and their different functions, safety, health conditions. So these type of procedures we can follow here, and here we can cover this process with the help of training, or can say in a written approach. The next theme is for benefits of process safety. So it is safer for workplace, for employees, reduce the risk, then compliance with industry codes, standard and practices, reduce the downtime and losses, reduce the risk to the nearby communities, continual improvement, then proactive management system. So this is benefits of process safety. Now we move for international disasters. So while establishing the different processes, we observe this disaster. So how it could, suppose we take example of Bhopal, India, 1984. So that gas is leaked into the that organizations, and that impacted on number of peoples. So this type of disaster we have to study it one by one, and then we can make a rules for your plants. So there are number of examples we have here. That is in United Kingdom, that Flexible 3 is there, then Grangemouth, Scotland is there, Piper Alpha platform is there, Texas City, Texas is there. Then the number of disasters is there. So according to that, we can observe here, and then we can implement for regulation of different industries. So this is essential because for safety purpose it is required work. Then risk management. So as we know that what type of risk is there. So at the priority level, we can greatest loss and greatest probability of occurring uh, are given the first priority, and risk with lower probability of occurrence. So that type of risks we can study over there. So that's why we can require identify the process hazards. So which type of hazard is there, because number of hazard is available with us. Suppose chemical hazard is there, physical hazard is there, biological hazard is there, noise hazard is there. So then ergonomics hazard is there. So according to that we can check it out, and then we can take our risk. Then assess the risk procedure of critical assess for specific hazardous, determine the risk is there, identify the controls, and to reduce those risks, priorities risk for migration purpose. So this type of management we can take for the risk. The next, operation safety versus process safety. So as you know that there are two cases, the process upset hazards. So whenever the increase in the pressure and temperature with the process boundary, so that should be impacted on a process that hazardous conditions. The next, personal safety hazards. So these safety work practices hazards that establishes the procedure to safety handle to manipulate the hazardous conditions. So this is regarding the process safety versus operational safety. So this is actually operation safety, and process safety means we have to study the 40 elements. So this type of study we can take under process safety, and in operational safety we have to study the when you applying the pressure and temperature, so it maybe increases, so because of some reasons, so this is the operational safety. So that time we can take a different hazardous conditions, so we have to study it there. So this is mostly in oil and gas processes. So as per that we can take a personal safety hazardous also, as well as operation safety hazardous is there also. So this is regarding the process safety management. Thank you.